I've had a little problem with my favorite ant. A-N-T, not A-U-N-T. You know, the little bug. I love the leafcutters here in Costa Rica. I'm fascinated by their work ethic and their organization. It's amazing what all these little ants can do if they just eat the stuff in the jungle and leave my stuff alone. Since I got the footage for this video, leafcutter ants have smashed my heliconia. They've smashed one of my camote trees. I don't think they're dead. The heliconia will certainly come back. The camote tree looks like it's putting on new leaves, so I think they'll be okay. But these little rascals have this whole entire mountain to eat, and they came after my stuff. Well, now we have a problem. Now me and the leafcutters, we aren't getting along so well. I'll have to find a way to refocus them, to redirect their interest somewhere else other than my stuff. So we've got quite a collection of plants that we brought with us, and some of these plants we've been dragging around since La Cima, since we were in the little rental house in La Cima last year, and this is one of them. This is an aloe, and it looks kind of worse for wear because it fell over and got bruised and broken, but it's fine. It's got some new growth coming in there since it had its accident. It'll be okay. And here's some, it's a purple shamrock or oxalis. This is edible. It's got a nice sour flavor. It's good on salads and stuff. I've been dragging it around since Cartago. Got it from a friend of ours who lives in Cartago. Just jerked it up out of the yard. This is a special hibiscus that I got from my aunt. I've been trying to get a live cultivar of this for over a year, and the ones that I would get died on me. The bird ate one, and one I didn't get enough water, but this time I brought an entire root system, and it's doing well. So we've also got ginger growing, and ornamental, and I know what that's called, but right now I'm brain dead. You can buy them in the US, they're for sale. Can't remember the name of it. But anyway, we've got that, and we've got this poor little papaya tree. He's really struggling. It did have some big leaves, but not anymore. But there's life, so we're going to leave it alone and just see what happens. These are some of the ones that have had issues sitting over here in this particular spot. I got a lot of new plants from the lady we rented from in El Bosque. This is Brazilian spinach, and she just jerked it up and pulled a few roots with it, and sure enough, it is living. I stuck it in the ground. We've had all kinds of rain, and it's doing, I expect that to really cover this little bank here in no time. It's a prolific plant. It grows fast, grows strong, and of course it's spinach, so it's good for you. I don't know what you call that, but she gave me that. It's gorgeous. I'm going to have to research the name of it and what you do with it, but it's doing well. I transplanted it just directly into the ground here, and it's doing great. I don't know what this is called either, but she gave it to me, and it's already got a new leaf unfurling there. I don't like the standing water in it. I'm going to work on the pot a little bit this afternoon and make sure it has better drainage. But it's going to live here under this mandarina tree that's outside our house. She also gave me some bromeliads, and I think one of them might be an orchid. That one over there might be an orchid. She did tell me it blooms. It has a flower, so it's probably an orchid. I know she has orchids at her house. And that, I'm not sure what that is, but I'm pretty excited about it. We just transplanted some roots with them. We brought some roots from the root system and some moss that was on the tree. We still have manderinas on our tree, or tangerines, They're the little seedless kind that you buy in the store. They harvested a whole truck full off of this farm, our farm and the other parts of the farm that had been divided up. That one's ripe and ready to eat. I know that we're used to them in America. They're orange by the time we get them, but that one is ripe, and I'm going to be grabbing that one here in just a little bit. That looks really good. Yum, yum, yum. Every time we buy a pineapple, I keep the top and I root it in some water. That's one from way back that's growing and doing really well. We're going to grow our own pineapple. There's a lot of pineapple grown in this part of Costa Rica, so it's the right climate for it. So we're going to grow our own pineapple. Miss Idalia also gave me this. This looks like elephant ears to a lot of people, and it's related, but this is what they call nampi. Nampi is a food. It's a tuber. You cook it a lot like a potato. It's very nutritious, and I can't wait until we get these in the ground and get them growing so we can harvest. There are my 2 mamon chino trees and a couple of little ones starting behind them. You can see that little guy. And more ginger and camote. Camote is sweet potato, and she literally just broke off. She didn't get the root, she just broke off the vine, stuck it in some water, it's growing, and I'm going to have some sweet potatoes in a few months. All my curcumin, these are my curcumin plants, they need to get into the ground pretty quickly, but we have a lot of those. And in there is an accidental mango tree. I've got some mango trees that we planted on purpose over there too. We have yuca. I believe this is señorita. It's you don't plant the tubers of this, you plant the stalks and they just grow. I've got them sitting in water because I couldn't get them in the ground immediately, and I'm hoping that helps, but they're just kind of sitting there. And everything is waterlogged. This is eucaris lily, and it's waterlogged. I've got to take care of it. Here are some things that I started from seed, and when I first started them, they weren't getting enough sun, so they sprouted up kind of leggy. Now I've got them in full sun so that maybe they will harden off, and it looks like they're doing pretty good. I've got tomatoes, and I got a pepper plant coming up right there. That's a pepper. And I've got some zinnias from Miss Adalia's house. She showed me how to collect the seeds for them. There's red, orange, and yellow. That will be very pretty in front of the house. The colors will just really match. But I've also got 10 soursop trees planted. There is a name for them, guayabana. There's about 50 million different guayabs and guayabanos and guayabananas and all kinds of things here in Costa Rica. Let's just say that they're soursop. They're the large green fruit with the spikes on it that looks like something out of a horror film that you would put on the end of a club and beat someone to death with. But you cut them open and the pulp is very white. I don't like them just to eat them, but they make excellent smoothies and ice cream. They're a great ingredient, and I can drink the pulp by the gallon. It is so good. So hopefully 10 trees will give us a bit of fruit to play around with. And of course our banana tree that we've been dragging around since we were in La Fortuna the first time last year. And the mango tree that are on purpose. Coconut palms. There's a lily that just kind of grows in the woods. It likes shade. I don't know the name of it, but they get really, really large. And it spreads quickly, so we have to be careful where we plant it. I've got, of course, my wandering Jew. These are not the pink ones. I'll show you the pink ones in a minute. Heliconia. This one's a red heliconia. I'm going to start me some of that. And of course the elephant ears that have the polka dots on them. These are not food. As far as I know, they're not edible. They're just ornamental, but they sure are pretty. They get really, really large. I'm pretty proud of this. This is one variety of the tabacon that Miss Adelia gave me. Now, you can't harvest this out of the woods. It's endangered in Costa Rica. Tabacon, you get in trouble if you go pull it out of the woods. We did not take this out of the woods. This is one that she started and grew on her own. She's cultivating them, so we're not breaking any laws there. And then these, I don't know what you call them. They're gorgeous. I've been wanting some. They're kind of like small trees or bushes. She literally just cut limbs and says the limbs will root. So we've got them in water. We'll see what happens. We have a neighbor walking in the field over there. He's wearing white. You may be able to see him. He's got all the dogs upset. Jesse went to investigate. Leo too. And Raven. Pretty little Raven. New additions. I was going to tell you about my emperor's cane, but all the barking. I'm very pleased with the emperor's cane. This is a very large plant. It grows 10 feet tall or 12 feet tall, and it has a flower. This one's pink. The flowers are almost like artificial flowers. They're not, but they're so plastic. They're very firm, and they're gorgeous in flower arrangements. It's really a pretty plant, and I'm happy to have that here. I just stuck it in the ground because this is where I want it to grow. But we didn't landscape or anything right here yet. This is going to be a pretty little garden area. It's got some nice rocks growing, and we're going to make this all pretty soon. Here is a second variety of tabacon that we have growing. This is from Miss Adelia too. The older leaves are of no concern. The good thing is the new growth we have there. And once again, this is not harvested from the woods. It's cultivated from a grower. So it's perfectly legal to have it. I didn't snatch any of Costa Rica's endangered plant. More of the polka dotted elephant ears. Caladiums maybe. I don't know if they're caladiums or what they are. They don't have the big bulbs on them like the nampi and the other things that they have. My experiment with Wandering Jew, this stump has a hole in it, and so I filled the hole with dirt and potting medium, and homemade potting medium, by the way. I don't use perlite or anything like that, all natural. We're going to see if it takes root and grows. And back here is my pink Wandering Jew. Some of the larger leaves sloughed off like I knew they would. That's all new growth that has grown since it's been here in Costa Rica. Very proud of that. It's being protected back here very carefully. This is a special find that makes me really glad that we have good neighbors. It's actually one of the boys who grew up here, and of course now he's an older gentleman, and he comes around nearly every day to check on us and see how we're doing. But he was very patient using the translate tools, because he doesn't speak a word of English and I speak very little Spanish, to show me that this is a precious herb. It's called culantro. It is similar to cilantro, coriander. They actually call it Mexican coriander, and it can be used in the place of cilantro. It just has a stronger flavor. But this is culantro, and he showed me that we actually have a whole bunch of it growing here in this bed, and this can all be used to season food. So this little bed right here is by default going to become a little herb garden. Miss Adelia also gave me some starting crops of hibiscus and malaga. They're in there. I understand that malaga can be irritating to the skin. We'll work with that. I've got to go through that and sort it. And another heliconia in there that I've got to get out and get into the ground. I'm eyeballing this spot of land right down there to maybe put a little garden spot. We've got to come in here with the string trimmer, get all of this grass down, and then start making rows to put the yuca. She gave us two kinds of yuca, senorita and one that's called marijuana. Sounds like marijuana, but it's not. And I don't know that I don't think they're even related, but it's spelled differently. Marijuana, anyway, it's two varieties, two different cultivars of yuca. They should mature in about 10 months after we get them in the ground. Like I said, you don't plant the tubers, you plant the sticks. And they grow and they turn into little trees, and we'll keep you posted on all of that. I think I may want to put them right down there on the high spot. Let me see if I can zoom in. Right there on that high spot of ground before it falls down into the creek. I'm also doing some experimenting with grocery store foods. Anything we find that has a little bit of root on it, like the parsley, we cut the tops off and use it for cooking and put the roots in dirt, and we're just going to see what happens. And of course, I've heard you can just stick carrot tops in the ground and then they grow. So we're going to find out. A few weeks ago, when I was getting footage for our last video, we were down on the river and on one of the creeks that runs into the river, and I saw it was just full of a plant that I thought I recognized as watercress, and I was like, oh, that looks like watercress. Well, guess what? It is watercress. Lots and lots of watercress. So I found out because the same neighbor that showed us the culantro brought us a handful of watercress from his creek, and we've been eating and eating and eating it. I'm going to start me a little colony of it up closer to the house so I don't have to walk down through the field every time I want watercress. But there it is, and I mean, that is some good stuff. I am eating it in everything from scrambled eggs to pasta. I mean, anything you can imagine that you would stir a little bit of watercress into, I'm stirring it. And somebody told me about watercress soup, so I looked up the recipe, and yum. That's going to happen. We're going to have some of that real soon. Here are our two little camote trees that I planted from the harvest of camotes, or star apples, that came from the first rental house in La Fortuna earlier this year. So they're still doing well. I actually have 3 of them. And, well, I had 3 of them. And I gave one to Miss Dahlia because she had given me so many things. I gave her one of those. And a mamon chino and a couple more things. And there's the little starfruit tree that Miss Dahlia dug up for us. The parent of this tree, underneath the big parent tree, is where Paige is buried. So this tree will always have a sentimental thing for me. This is a little daisy type plant that I found growing on the side of the road there in El Bosque, and just stopped the bus and stepped out the door and pulled it up. I have some orange ones too, but those have gone to seed, so maybe I'll get some orange seed and pink seed. Nice little wildflower type thing. While I was in San Jose the past couple of days for a doctor visit, the problem that I have, even when I'm filming for these videos, came into play, and I thought it would be a good time to mention it here. I'm doing my best to hold this camera steady. It's not a fancy camera, it's just an iPhone 7. It's all we have. We don't have the ability to get nice equipment or accessories like a gimbal to help steady it. Neurologically, I have some issues from lupus, and that makes it very difficult, really impossible for me to hold a camera as still as I should. And so I just have to ask you guys, all of the viewers out there, to be understanding and bear with us. We cannot afford fancy equipment and the things that we need. But also, I had to have an x-ray of my neck done when I was in San Jose, and I was unable to stand as still as they needed me to get a clear x-ray. Just neurologically, I can't do it. I have balance control issues, and fine motor control issues, and it causes a problem. So I'm aware that when I try to film things that I don't hold the camera as still as I should. But there are other factors as well, in that we have lost our microphone. We no longer have a good external mic, and it's going to be a while before we can buy one. That's just not the priority right now. As much as I enjoy doing these videos, we have to get the things done with the farm, and then we'll think about maybe buying some camera equipment. It is what it is, though. We lack really nice equipment, including a microphone to make things sound better, and a gimbal to make things steadier, and a high-end camera to improve on the videography. But we're still going to keep putting out content, and hopefully someday we'll get the monetization that we need to buy the extra equipment. We also will take the donations. If it bothers you badly enough, hey, send us some money to get some new stuff. Otherwise, there's just not a whole lot we can do about it yet. Bear with us. We'll keep putting out the content. We'll keep showing you stuff, telling you about Costa Rica, but you're going to have to enjoy it all with a little bit of shake. And that's just the best I can do. Pura vida. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more of our journey here in Costa Rica, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll know when we upload new content. By all means, talk to us in the comments. We love hearing from you.